Office of the Chief of Naval Staff. As you are aware, yesterday we announced before this honorable committee that the Chief of Naval Staff will make his presentation before this committee. They are here, and I would like on behalf of this committee to extend our appreciation for your prompt response to the letter sent to you. This committee, like I say, is a child of necessity, owing to the fact that a lot are not doing well in the petroleum industry, and some concerned Nigerians, through some concerned members, raised a motion before the Honorable House, requesting for the House to intervene by setting up an ad hoc committee that will look into the affairs surrounding the petroleum subsidy regime in Nigeria. The first letter that was sent to you gave you an insight of what we are looking for from the Nigerian Navy. As far as this committee is concerned, they are very, very important and pivotal to the success of this assignment, because they are always the chief security agency as far as issues that have to do with supply and, of course, export of petroleum products is concerned. Principally, this committee requested to have a record of vessels that barged into nations' territorial waters covering refined petroleum products from January 2017 to December 2021. We also requested to have a record of vessels used to export crude oil out of the country from the aforementioned date, and record of daughter vessels used to evacuate petroleum products from the mother vessels on the high sea from January 2017 to December 2021. We also seek to know from you record of seizure made in respect of petroleum products, crude and refined products, including but not limited to vessels, food quantity involved from January 2017 to December 2021. To also know from you records of prosecutions in respect of arrests made during the above mentioned period. Then record of releases on the vessels, overseas vessels and product content. Then actual situation of the product under your custody from January 2017 to December 2021. The last, but not the least, and very, very important, any other vital information you may consider relevant to the committee's work. You are able to respond accordingly. But there's a procedure of the Honorable House, or I say the National Assembly itself. We received the correspondence from you dated 25th July 2022. That was Monday. In the correspondence, you made effort to give detailed explanations, point by point, as demanded by this committee. But there's nowhere you made mention in your letter that the Honorable Chief of Naval Staff is not going to be here in person, and I is sending a representation. So as our procedure demands, we now have to subject it before the honorable colleagues to debate, accepting you as the representative of the Chief of Naval Staff and to make a representation on his behalf. Or otherwise, we turn you to go back to go and make proper arrangement for his appearance before the honorable committee. The honorable committee members, before us are the representatives of the Chief of Naval Staff, and there is no letter or information from the letter we have from them that presented them as the representative of the Chief of Naval Staff or his excuse from the Chief of Naval Staff of inability to appear before this honorable committee. Honorable members, you may wish to contribute so that we can take a resolution.
Thank you very admirable, sir. Do you have any formal correspondence from the Chief of Naval Staff delegating you or anybody else? In this instance, you said you are representing him. So delegating you to represent him at this hearing, communicating delegation of authority. Otherwise, you will be telling us that, no, I have to go back to the Chief of Naval Staff. We need to know you have been given the authority to speak on his behalf, because you are going to speak to us under oath. So everything you say will be binding even on him. So this is why this is usually very critical.
Chairman, distinguished chairman, honorable members, and members of this committee particularly, I thank you for giving us the opportunity to make, at least to address this first step. The Chief of Naval Staff wanted to be here. This letter was sent on Monday, and as at that time, it was his desire to be here in person. But just yesterday, in fact this morning, we had to go for another national assignment, presently having a meeting of the National Security Council. So the information was passed to me this morning via a memo from the Office of the Chief of Policy and Plans, who represents the Chief of Naval Staff anytime he's not around, nominating me to speak on behalf of the Chief of Naval Staff. I thank you, sir.
So, but that letter was not conveyed, you did not formally write to the committee.
Yes, the reason is that it is this morning that I was nominated to come and speak on behalf of the Chief of Naval Staff. So, meanwhile, the letter that was sent to you was sent on Monday. And the nomination came from the PSO, that's the Principal Staff Officer to the Chief of Naval Staff, nominating me to speak for the Chief of Naval Staff.
Yes. So it is going to be the committee's decision to make whether to take them or not.
What my honorable colleague said, Mark, is tradition of the National Assembly of the Parliament, so there's nothing we can do about that. But we also understand the times we are in. We have been listening to the news. We actually heard in the news last night that the President summoned all the service chiefs. So don't expect the service chief to ignore that meeting to come here. Not to say that the Parliament is not important, but just because of the times we are in. So, Mr. Chairman, I want to appeal to you and to our colleagues that we can extract a commitment for them to bring a letter before we leave while this process is going on, just to comply with our rules in this place. So in the interim, I want to appeal that we take them, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, my name is Hon Ibrahim Almustapha. I represent the Federal Constituency. I stand here by second the motion heavily moved by the Honorable that we have to give them this leverage to take them. Thank you very much.
Honorable colleagues, motion moved and seconded. Those for the motion say aye. Those against me. So I have it. So anyway, before Honorable Sir just moved the motion, I received that information from one of the members of the delegation, the Deputy Defense Liaison Officer here, that the letter is even ready and that they'll soon bring it before the committee. Be that as it's been, the House has already ruled that we can listen to you, we can take your submissions. So the representative of the Chief of Naval Staff, you are going to be put under oath, and then you now give this committee your submission on behalf of the Chief of Naval Staff.
I, Rear Admiral E.I. Ogala,
Do do solemnly
swear
that the testimony I shall give before this honorable committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
So help me God.
Chairman, sir. Can they give him a copy so he can confirm your submission?
We have the copy here. I want to present it to them after the oath. It's forwarded to. Is this your submission? Just go through it. Check.
And the attachments as well.
It is, sir.
Okay.
All right, thank you so very much, Admiral. I now call on you to make your presentation before this committee.
The Honorable Chairman, Honorable Ibrahim Almustapha Aliyu, Chairman, House of Reps, Special Adult Committee on Petroleum Products Subsidy Regime, distinguished members of this all-important committee, other members of National Assembly that are here, my fellow officers from the Naval Headquarters, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, good morning, sir. I am Rear Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, the Director of Lessons Learned at Naval Headquarters, representing the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awa Zubairu Gambo. First of all, sir, I want to thank this committee for extending this invitation to the Nigerian Navy. The Nigerian Navy fully recognizes the importance of the National Assembly and particularly the House of Representatives as the representatives of the people. And we also particularly recognize the importance of the work of this committee, considering that oil and gas is the mainstay or the major revenue earner for Nigeria. It is the source from which government revenue is derived even for our salary and for our equipment. So we really appreciate your effort in ensuring that you streamline the activities in the oil sector. But let me first apologize for the inability of the Chief of Naval Staff to be here. Like I said earlier, he wanted to be here up to yesterday night. But unfortunately, due to other service exigencies, I was informed this morning that I have to come and represent the Chief of Naval Staff. Well, good enough, sir. We had already sent our representation, which is the opinion of the Navy on the issues that you requested. Specifically, sir, the committee requested the Nigerian Navy to provide information regarding the records of vessels that passed into the Nigerian waters conveying refined petroleum products between 2017 and 2021 December. Other records that you requested include record of vessels used to export crude oil out of the country within the same period. The committee also requested us to provide record of daughter vessels, that is, smaller vessels used to pick products that were imported into the Nigerian territorial waters from the main.
Please, you see, this is a request.
Okay.
Okay. So just go through your own submissions.
Okay, sir. So I'll go straight to our response, sir. So with respect to the first request, which is the record of vessels, from the records available to us, which is information provided to us by NNPC, a total of 8,314 vessels imported about 135,571,740 metric tons of refined petroleum products, particularly PMS, into Nigeria between the period that we're talking about. About 14 million metric tons and 21 million metric tons of PMS were recorded, particularly in 2017 and 2021. The details of these are provided in enclosure 1 to the document which we have submitted. Now to the second one, which is record of vessels used to export crude oil out of the country within the same period. From records available to the Nigerian Navy, a total of 2,052 vessels were granted approval by NNPC to load about 989 million barrels of crude oil from various oil terminals in Nigeria between the same period. The crude oil were exported to various destinations, both South America, North America, Europe, Asia, among others. The details of these are contained in enclosure 2 to the document which we have already submitted to you, sir. Now to record of daughter vessels used to evacuate petroleum products from mother vessels between the same period. From available records, which is the records we have from NMDC, about 5,950 daughter vessels were used to evacuate petroleum products from about 4,094 mother vessels during the same period. The details are already provided in enclosure 3 to our document, which is in soft copy. Because of the volume of the document, we put them in a soft copy, which is part of the document we have submitted to you. Now to record of seizures made in respect of petroleum products arrested in connection with illegal oil bunkerings and crude oil theft. From the same records that we have, indicate that between the same period, a total of 147 vessels involved in different forms of offenses were involved in different forms of vessels were arrested. A total of 40 vessels were arrested, particularly in 2017, while 9 were arrested in 2021. The details of these vessels and the nature of the arrest and the offenses, including the vessels handed over to prosecuting agencies and those released to the owners between the same period, are at enclosure 4 of our document that we submitted to you, sir. Now to the record of prosecutions in respect of arrests made during seizures for the same period. The Nigerian Navy does not have the statutory responsibility or power to prosecute arrested vessels. As such, arrested vessels and persons are usually handed over to relevant prosecuting agencies, in most cases the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. From our records, 70 vessels were so far handed over to EFCC out of the about 147 vessels that were arrested. Others were handed over to other agencies. The details of these vessels handed over to various prosecuting agencies are also in the same enclosure 4 to the document which we have submitted. Now to records of releases of seized vessels and products contained. Between the same period, that is 2017 to 2021, a total of 14 vessels were handed over to the owners. That's those who have been acquitted and handed over to the owners. Information on these vessels released to the owners is also contained in enclosure 4 to the document which we have submitted, sir. Now to the other aspect, the additional document that we have provided for you, which is not part of the request, sir, is NNPC/PPMC tanker nomination schedule letters. The NNPC and the PPMC usually sends copies of letters with details of vessels permitted to lift oil products into and out of the country to the Nigerian Navy. From the records we have, a total of 3,489 of such letters were sent to the Nigerian Navy between 2020 and 2021 alone. Because of the volume of these documents, we have put it in a soft copy, in a flash drive, and is contained at enclosure 5. It's attached as enclosure 5 to the documents that we have submitted to you, sir. The Nigerian Navy hopes that the details provided would assist the committee to carry out its oversight functions, especially as regards this investigation of the fuel subsidy regime in Nigeria. The Nigerian Navy wishes to state that it remains resolute in carrying out its constitutional mandate and other assigned mandates, and always available and ready to provide whatever information and whatever assistance that your committee might require in due course. I thank you very much, sir, for giving us this opportunity to speak to this distinguished committee. Thank you, sir.
I'm sure you must have listened attentively to the submissions of the Nigerian Navy as regards to this very important investigative hearing. Members that wish, I will recognize Honorable Mark first.
Mr. Chairman, Red Mile, sir. Let me first of all, on behalf of the committee, also convey our appreciation for your voluntary divulgence of additional information. This to us also shows the level of patriotism with regards to the mandate of the committee. So that is appreciated as well. There's a question I want to ask, so maybe you can take down these questions, because my colleagues will also probably have other questions to ask before you respond. My first question is, the information you have, please remember you are under oath, so there are certain consequences to responses to the House when you're under oath. You said the information, you said it separately. The information you have provided us is what you received from NNPC. We believe, or we assume, that the Navy, with the statute that you have and responsibility, should have your own records as well. But it appears you are giving us second-hand information. We expect that you have authentic, verifiable records that the Navy itself obtained, not what NNPC conveyed to you. That is hands-on on the field, on the waters. This is what you confirm. So this is the first thing I want you to confirm to us. Then the other one is, you mentioned something about giving us submissions in soft copy. Now, with regard to the vessels that were importing PMS, that were exporting crude, the daughter vessels that were conveying PMS from the mother vessels, and all of those, I have not seen the specific details of the names of the vessels the ownership of the vessels, the location of vessels, the port, the products were delivered, both import and export. So these are certain details that we will need comprehensively to also receive from you, so that we can be able to do proper due diligence to our investigation. So if you didn't provide it in soft copy like you said, so you need to take note of that. For all that information, but you just gave us, you know, graphs, basically. And that does not suffice for what we want to do. We need specific details. Apart from the arrested one. So that's why I just wanted to confirm. So did you provide those in soft copy so that we know that we will go and peruse those documents specifically? Because I'm talking now with regards to imports of PMS, export of crude, conveyance of PMS from other vessels. We need details of all those vessels, ownership, and all the required details, which I believe the committee can convey to you. Then, with regards to the details of vessels arrested that you provided to us, you know, it does not clearly indicate the agency the vessel was handed over to. In your comments, in some places you say EFCC released the owner, so we will just assume, okay, you obviously handed it over to EFCC. But in some other instances, it does not indicate on your table that you provided to us, was it handed over to the police? Was it handed over to EFCC? You know, if you look at that table you gave us, in some instances the agencies are not indicated. So why don't you take note of that? It also does not indicate ownership in most instances. I think you don't have records of the owners of the vessels. The content of each vessel was not indicated in most instances. The current location not indicated in many instances. Crew members not indicated in most.
Yeah. For your response to our request. Well, the other thing that remains, sir, is you've made mention of people who are part to prosecute. That you are part to prosecute. What is your view? The way the agency that have the prosecuting power, what is your view? The way they handle the arrested person? That's what they call the Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Honorable Cook. I hope you are taking note of these questions. You will get an answer at once. Honorable Kalu.
Navy. At NNPC's conversion rate of 1,341 liters per metric ton, 59,226,634 metric tons converts to 79,822,899 liters of PMS imported in just 1 year of 2018. So what this comes to is about 218,699,241 liters per day of PMS consumption for a country that does not even consume up to 60 million liters per day. We got some of this information from your previous submission to another committee. We can't get that here. Yes. And we believe we have one Navy. You have Eastern Command, you have Western Command, we have Western whatever command, but the Nigerian Navy is one. We are not dealing with any command but the Nigerian Navy. So because you are on oath and because we have so much respect for you gentlemen in uniform, you don't have to answer. I seek the permission of Mr. Chairman. You don't have to answer us. But go back, I will suggest, and reconcile your figures. But I am shocked and surprised that one Navy will send different information, almost on the same topic, to different committees. You know? So please, like I said, you're on oath. Maybe it's a mistake. Let's put it that maybe it's a mistake. But do your due diligence and send us the right figures. We are not joking here. We cannot be using the entire money that belongs to this country for capital project to subsidize one product. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so very much. Honorable Bololo, Honorable Thomas, Honorable Aga. All right. The Nigerian Navy, they wish to respond to questions asked.
Thank you, sir. The distinguished chairman, sir, and other eminent members of this all-important committee, sir. I will just say a few things, just one thing, and I will pass the mic to the Director of Marine Services, from whose office these compilations came, so that he can expatiate more. But the area I want to talk about is with the issue of records, whether it's our records or NNPC records. I wish to state, sir, that the Nigerian Navy only assists the NNPC in ensuring that these things work the way it is designed. The Nigerian Navy is not the lead in terms of tanker nominations and all this issue of oil lifting and so on. It is the information passed to the Nigerian Navy by the NNPC that we record in our file. Sometimes NNPC might pass such information and then we record it. At the end of the day, some of them are cancelled, some are not cancelled, but the information we have, which we have passed to you, are the information that are sent to us by NNPC. So, and that's why we refer to information available to us from our records received from NNPC, which we also have as our own records. Thank you, sir.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. I don't think that question has been well addressed because you're a security agency. You understand? And we leave our waterways under your care. Therefore, independent of what NNPC does, you are by your mandate to ensure that whatever comes into this country or leaves to the country, that you are team members that I know that often goes on board to find out what is being carried. We'll report back so as to corroborate the information from NNPC or to differentiate the information coming from NNPC. To say that you only rely on what is coming from NNPC, I don't think it is inspiring confidence, in Nigerians who have allowed you to monitor what comes in. I know that the Navy has a record of every tanker coming in or discharging or going out that has product that has to do with oil and gas. I know that. I also know that it is not everything coming in or going out is documented by NNPC. And it is you that we are depending on to give us that difference. Because if you are saying nothing is happening in our waters, who then do we call? There must be a differentiated result of the activities with regards to oil and gas from that of NNPC. That is the only way we have confidence that you are doing this surveillance, security, intelligence acting in our waters. So I don't know whether that went down well with the committee, that you are strictly censored depending on what is forwarded to you by NNPC. So how then? So other products can move without NNPC reporting it to you, and you close your eyes to that. Is that what you're telling the House?
Thank you so very much, Honorable.
Be a little bit more direct in my own response. On behalf of the Nigerians that we represent, we are taken aback, like my colleague just mentioned, by your response to such a very monumental issue that our country is facing. Is the Navy telling us today that with regards to the inflow of vessels and they are leaving this country, with regards to specific issues that pertain to the NNPC, you rely only on NNPC's information? So where then is the role of the Navy as constitutionally given to you to carry out. This is something you must address this committee about today. We need to know that. Otherwise, we will conclude that even the Navy is colluding with regards to what is bedeviling this country at the moment. You are supposed to provide the check and balance that is required on our waters. But you are telling us that you are relying solely. So NNPC has told us in other fora that they don't have record of some vessels that come and illegally convey crude from the country. But you are relying on this NNPC that doesn't have those records. So it's important that you clarify that for us, please.
Thank you, sir. Chairman, please, before he do verification modalities, for everyone coming in, he should be able to let us know what are those verification modalities and what they have used it to either capture this number of vessels that we are talking about here. How did they verify them? Very much, sir.
It's fundamental. Before you respond, recall that you have been put on oath. And the information you are giving to Nigerians through this committee are facts. And let me quickly draw your attention to paragraph 9 of your submission, where you clearly state that Nigerian Navy also wishes to state that it remains resolute in carrying out its constitutional mandate and other assigned tasks in fulfillment of national security objectives. Oil theft, issues surrounding subsidy, bunkering, illegal refining, and whatever. I'm sure you agree with me, creating national security objectives. Today, we are here, assigned to investigate and find out who are culpable in all this mess. Just 2 days ago, the Minister of Finance stated categorically that this country will need 6.7 trillion in 2023 to service subsidy. What is the percentage of 6.7 trillion in the overall national budget? It's more than 40%. You can agree with me. Then when you talk about the total capital component in the budget, it's not up to this subsidy. Because even this year, I'm just talking merely of a little over 5 trillion, while you needed 6.7 trillion for subsidy. I'm sure even the Nigerian Navy, they are affected by this mess. There are so many operational tools you require that you cannot afford because the budget is lean. We thought you have an independent checks that will enable you know the vessels that pass, and then you keep their records, so that you corroborate with whatever record comes to you from NNPC. So this committee will take it that this submission you have made is from the record we have with NNPC. Then the committee will await for your own records, independent records. That's what we are looking for. There are submissions made by the Nigerian Navy in the past because there are sister committees. But of course, this sum up the work of those other committees because they are to give Nigerians the reason why the Nigerian government has to continue paying those colossal amount for their convenience or otherwise. And then part of our mandate is to expose those that deliberately subvert the good objective of the policy, expose corruption, and recommend sanctions. So please, the President of the Nigerian Navy, you know, this committee appreciates you for being prompt. But as the drilling now starts, things continue, becoming somehow, unsatisfactory. So please sit up. If you needed time, thank God this investigative hearing is in stages. This is just a preliminary engagement with you. We are going to engage you properly when we go through your records. We have our consultants, also the secretariat that are putting all that needed to be put before us to enable us to discharge this responsibility. Most of the members seated here, some are captains in the industry. They know what is going on. Some are retired military officers. So it is important that we do the right thing for our beloved fatherland. So I'll call you now to respond on some of the issues raised, and as you requested, we'll allow the Director of Marine to also respond to some of the issues that you cannot expatiate. They will be put on hold. So, right on.
I, Komodo K. Temimu, do solemnly affirm, do solemnly swear that the testimony I shall give, before this honorable committee, shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
The Honorable Chairman, sir, other members of the committee, I am Komodo K. Tenimu, the Director of Marine Services. So I'm here to just clarify some areas, some gray areas that were raised regarding the issue of NNPC records. Yes, the Navy responsibility starts at the point of receiving applications for PMS from both NNPC and PPMC. That's where the Nigerian Navy works commence. Usually we receive the applications. In that applications, it contains all the necessary details regarding the vessel, which is the mother vessel that brings in these products, most of the times offshore. And then the so-called daughter vessels that were nominated to go in and lift certain quantity of this PMS. From where and which depot or which place is it dropping it? All the necessary details are there. So as a Director of Marine Services, I deal with all products including PMS, LPFO, and all other things. At the receipt of these applications, what I do, I'm trying to give a very practical view of what I do. On receipt of these applications, I verify it. How do I verify these documents? Usually for every application, there are documents that should be attached, of course. The registration of those vessels concerned, either NIMASA or if they are registered from outside, those documents must be there. The receipts concerning the importation and so on and so forth, and the quantity. Usually, most of the times, the vessels that brings it in there are the quantity that the vessel itself contains. But it's not all the quantity that usually maybe the daughter vessels lifts, because some of these products may move to other countries. So it's just the quantity that a particular daughter vessel is supposed to lift, that will go there and lift. So on verifying those documents, I call the NNPC. We have contact persons, the PPMC, just to ascertain that yes, this document is from PPMC or from NNPC. So that's the beginning of the verification. So after we did that, we check the IMO numbers of all the vessels involved, because we have the capacity to do that from headquarters here in our upstream. We have the RMAC, we have the Falcon Eye. So we checked the RMAC and know the position of that, especially the daughter vessel that is going to move to go and lift those products. And of course, we identify even the mother vessel on our scope, we see them and everything. So from there, I will draft a signal now to the headquarters for approval for that operation to take place. So once it gets to the headquarters too, they make their verification, they call me if there is any gray area, which will be sorted out. From there, a signal will be released. Within a day. In fact, within 1 hour, 2 hours, depending on the time those applications comes. But most of the times we receive our applications from PPMC and NPC towards PM. Maybe around 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m. But that does not mean we go to sleep. We ensure they get the approval. Most of any approval from PPMC and NPC. Navy, we don't delay it because of this issue of fuel scarcity and so on and so forth. So the moment Naval Headquarters gives approval, the signal is sent to the concerned command. And from the concerned command will now direct the vessel, the base, the operational base concerned. Most of the importation takes place in Lagos. Most of our importations is Lagos area. So once the Western Naval Command is issued that signal and they amplify that signal to the concerned operations base, so the intelligence officer, which is also most of the time the oil officer in that base, usually has his boys all over. Not necessarily even the base, they are scattered all over within the terminal, within the waterways, and then of course we have our bases too. So usually the IO with his boys and then our security vessels will go there to ascertain. Of course, already we know the vessel is there in our scope. We are monitoring her. It is at NSQ and then also at the command levels, there are repeaters. So you are seeing all these vessels there on your scope. So you go there, and then the vessel that is supposed to go there, we are certainly, yes, this is the vessel that has been nominated to go and lift that oil. To go there, carry out its operation, leave the quantity is expected to do. Of course, there will be representatives, I'm sure, from the NNPC, DPR, and some other agencies are supposed to be able to ascertain the quantity are supposed to be received is what was given out. And then they will be escorted to the depots. Those that will go to areas like Calabar and so on and so forth, they will be escorted up to that place where they are supposed to drop those things. That's what I'm saying. I'm the director of marine services, so I have to allow my boss first and foremost to. That's why I would have liked an opportunity to explain. So we have records. NNPC gives us a record, but we ascertain that this is what is expected that is done. And again, sir, I can even refer you some few months back. There's a vessel that really was nominated to come and lift. Let's say I'm even digressing from TMS to crude oil to know that we have the capacity to do all these things. A vessel came in, nominated by PPMC, but by NNPC. But however, because we do not receive the nomination on time, we arrested that vessel. NNPC can testify to that. Several we have arrested so many vessels until they come and clarify that it is in Tonka nomination. But we say we do not receive any Tonka nomination. And once we see any ship coming to our waters without any approval, we arrest them. So we've been doing that, sir. We have the capacity and we have been doing it. So that's how this issue, the issue of records from NNPC, this is what we're talking about. Records from NNPC, that's just the nomination they send. However, we authenticate the vessel that goes there to lift and then we ascertain the quantity. And again, sir, I will also mention that every week, we receive a report from the bases concerning all issues of oil operations in the base. Every week, we receive it and it's forwarded to the command. Every week. Why we are saying is to ascertain whether that operation has taken place or it has not taken place. Yes, sir. So that's that one regarding when the issue of information for NNPC said we have our records, and whatever we are giving, sir, is the records that finally, after the operations, this is the records we are giving you, sir, at the end of the operation, sir. So that's not really NNPC. If you look at the NNPC commission, the papers are there, then we have our own records.
Honorable Cook, we are
NAVAL visitors of all the record of the place.
Yes, sir.
But in your report, you are referring to NNPC.
So I'm so sorry, sir.
So we don't want to, no, it has to be that you have to readdress it.
Yes, sir.
You want to independent of the Navy report, not
it's our records.
NNPC.
It's our records, sir. The issue of daughter vessels, sir. The issues are those issues you raised. The issue of the CD, or even the flight ride that was born, that was attached. I did the work myself, sir. So it is very voluminous. Every detail is there for those vessels from 2017 to December 2021. So the information has been provided, sir. Name of the vessels, quantity, owner, yes, sir, yes, sir. Oh, yeah, daughter vessels, yes, sir. Everything is provided, is there, sir. I rest assured you, sir. I did the work. Okay. Yes, sir. But we'll check if there are other information that are missing. Regarding, sir, what happened is, basically, as my boss said, most of the arrests, since we don't have prosecuting power, most of the arrested persons are handed over to EFCC. Then depending, some to the Nigerian police, some to civil defense. So what happened at the end of the day, if you look at that document, there are some that were arrested, but Nigerian Navy is still carrying out some investigation before they will now write their preliminary reports, And then when they submit the preliminary report to the headquarters, the headquarters will direct as appropriate to which of the agencies they will hand over. So usually when we hand over, we write a letter to the EFCC that we want to hand over this as so place. So direct your unit in that place to go and pick it up. Usually there's a letter. So they will direct the unit to go, and always there is this handing and taking over procedure that takes place before you hand over. So once you hand over, everything of the Nigerian Navy, including whatever quantity of product or what that product is inside that vessel. So it's handed over to the prosecuting agency. So that's what we do. Okay, the views are the views.
Earlier question, I said, what are your views about the way the prosecuting agency they have the power to prosecute this six vessels? What is your view the way they handle the six vessels?
Yes, our view is it could be better. It could be better. We hand over to EFCC. The FCC most of the time they do their best. They take it to the court. So you know it's the court that will do they will do the judgment. It's the court, sir. So the issue is it depends on the court, sir. So it's the court that will decide whether to prosecute or not to prosecute, sir. Yes, sir.
There are questions to say what you want to raise. Okay. Now before that, let me refer you to restricted one. That will be affirmation. Not enclosure one. There's an attachment. This is 2017. You arrested that ship for alleged illegally refined AGO. The quantity in the vessels is still unknown, unspecified, and that at the end, after detaining the crew on board for I don't know how long, the vessel or the ship was released to owner on 3rd March 2017. You also cited a reference number. So my question here, do you mean to say that since when you released the vessels on the 3rd of March 2017, you closed the file as far as that arrest is concerned? And within the period of arrest, January to March 2017, I'm sure you must have done the necessary due diligence, investigations to undercover the unknown. You should be able to know who the owner of the vessel is and the quantity of the refined AGO in the vessel. And then the reason for the arrest, you say illegally refined AGO, is as if you have confirmed the offense, the product that is illegally refined. And then what parameter do you use to now set that vessel free and this? You see, this is the format of your reporting. Line by line, if you take it this way, you see a lot of questions to ask. And I think that does not make a good report. But if you want this honorable committee to adopt this report as submitted by you, and then we hold you responsible for whatever discrepancy or infraction in the report. You say that to us, we adopt it, and then we make progress. So that when you appear for the second segment of this investigation, we are now going to really build on this documents. But it didn't tell good about you and about the intelligence we believe the Nigerian Navy have. So, Honorable Mark, you can go ahead.
Let me thank you for your service. Let me point out that part of what we're trying to achieve can also be to the benefit of the Navy. If you have capacity issues, if you have funding issues, all those things can be unearthed when we carry out our oversight functions like this one. So it's important to know that this is not intended to indict anyone, but we need to obtain the correct information. Now, you will see that in your presentation, like the chairman said, which is part of the motion I want to move now, we do not even know the status of the illegally refined AGO. What happened to it? You released it to the owners. You did not provide us with those records. There are some places where you did not even specify the quantity of what was stolen. You don't seem to have records of the ownership. So, Mr. Chairman, the committee will need to still write to the Navy to obtain certain information, and let me just move this motion, and I believe the clerk will get the details eventually. I want to move, Mr. Chairman, that the Navy provide us with comprehensive details of the vessels that were importing PMS, exporting crude, conveying PMS from other vessels, indicating the name, the owner, the importer, the exporter, the delivery port for both import and every other information, and the confirmation of the quantity. That is one prayer, Mr. Chairman. And then with regards to the vessels that were arrested, the Navy will need to provide us details of the ownership of all the vessels, the agency the vessels were handed over to, the content of each vessel, the current location, the status of the content of those vessels, the verified quantities, and their own arresting unit. And finally, Mr. Chairman, with regards to tanker nomination letters, that they should also provide us details from 2017 to 2021 as the committee requested. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Amendment to the motion.
Okay, amendment.
That you usually send these transfers. That you usually transfer the cases to. Let's see whether they are within the mandate of the Constitution and those you work with regards to prosecution. If you are sending to civil defense, or sending to police, or sending to EFCs, want to know if those are relevant agencies. Okay? Oh, it's part of your prayer. Okay, so we need that highlighted. Chairman, I would like to say something after this motion was passed through. I want to just read something, if you don't mind.
All right.
I hereby second the motion raised by my colleague Kalu.
Amended by
Kalu. As amended.
Honorable colleagues, having moved and seconded the motion with slight amendment, those for the motion should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. They don't come. So ayes have it. So the motion is hereby passed. So Nigerian Navy, this committee now demands that you go back and give comprehensive submission. Given the details of our requirements, we know the mandate of the committee has been expanded to cover the periods between 2013 to date. It was figured to 2017 to date. Just 2 days ago, the House of Administration extended the mandate or expanded the mandate of the committee to cover all aspects of subsidy, fuel importation, fuel exportation, forex, and any other things that have to do with petroleum industry. So please be very diligent as you used to be. Let us have a comprehensive report for you. Let me draw your attention that this committee respects the Nigerian Navy and rely your ability to give the necessary balanced, information that we require. So please try and, justify the confidence that this committee and by extension the National Assembly have been. Any other issue? Honorable Secretary.
Your advice on when you arrest a vessel, because what is happening right now is giving this country a very bad name. We should have been talking about windfall. Do we need the money now? Very badly, like a hole in the head. So what we should be talking about windfall. OPEC has even increased our quota, we cannot meet it. This is giving the Navy a very, very bad name. That we are talking about crude oil disappearing in our waters, and yet they say we have a Navy that cannot check it. So this is the question. When you arrest a vessel, whether it's a finished product or it's crude oil, I know from your record you have sent, you mentioned to EFCC and to some other bodies. Is there a way of checking how those vessels are arrested and handed over? Because, let's be honest, I am from the Niger Delta. A whole lot of things can happen in the creeks or on the high sea. So who says a vessel laden with crude oil cannot be seized and then transaction happens there and everybody walks away and look the other way? Which is what people are insinuating right now. So what my question would be, how can these things be not just documented after? How can it be captured immediately, instantly? If a vessel that should be on our waters is there and is carrying a product that they cannot explain the source of, how can we capture that? Can it come out as breaking news immediately? So that it won't be a case of somebody has given to someone else, we don't know what happened, or even you've been accused of collecting something on the high sea and allowing the vessel to go. Or, like in the UK, you have, or in the US, you have policemen carrying body cam. So are they arresting you, they are talking to you, everything is recorded. Is there a way we can, maybe extra budgetary, maybe budget for you to have your vessels, when such things are happening, is recorded, so that everybody can see it on time, in real time? No, this one is just a suggestion and maybe also seeking your advice. Because we are digging ourselves into a hole, all of us. So the earlier we put our heads together to get out of it, the better for everybody. If today you are all giving 20 billion each of you, you cannot enjoy it in this Nigeria today. You cannot enjoy it. So let's look for a solution to get out of this problem that we are facing. Thank you very much.
But I'll allow my disposable of the House to ask his question so that I can just...
That's your responsibility. Exactly. Go ahead and ask.
He wanted to... Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman. First of all, apologies for coming in. No one need to accord me my respect.
It's not presiding.
No one need to accord me my respect. Okay, thank you for the opportunity. First, apologies for coming a bit late. Please, can you just move a little? I need to look at... let me just say one thing. You have the capacity to go even up to 85, 90 something nautical miles from point. And you also have the Marine Police who are also there. You have the Customs who are also there. You have immigration. Sometimes that people tend to also want to do, when there are no jobs, they also want to do things about these vessels that are carrying these products. I'm aware that you have done some auctioning for some of those vessels. Do you do your auctioning of the vessels with the products inside? And how transparent are some of these auctioning? Because when I say that I'm aware, a lot of people in this hall are surprised that you would undergo auctioning or you carry out auctioning of some of these vessels. Do you have your responsibility to auction vessels, and when you auction these vessels, the products that you arrest the vessels with, do you auction them alongside the vessels? In the course of our investigation, I will show you why. I'll show you where this is coming from. I'll also give you record
of one or two persons that have benefited from auctioning of these vessels. I will. I'm a member of the committee, and so when you're invited like this, no man is an island. We learn from what people have to tell us. We also come out with street gist, and then we come out with some gist with documents, even though we weren't there with these documents. But if you can just say something about that, I'll be more educated when I hear that auctioning is going on somewhere. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable wanted to give more information about what you do extra. And I'll call on Honorable Kanu. Honorable Kanu, you are recognized for the response.
Highlight again, he was talking about all the arrests that takes place. The reasons for that arrest need to be highlighted, the processes, that you adopt in arresting, detaining, or releasing. It is important that we know that as you are bringing in your report, it should be documented so that we know these were the reasons you arrested, these were the reasons you detained, these were the reasons you handed over. Well documented. And also, it is also important to look at that fact on restricted 1, page, I think it's page 1, page 2. This is just in passing. Maybe when you are bringing your report, look at that. We had COVID in this country and all over the world. We know that within that period, the sale of oil went down. That's what we were told. That oil was not doing well in the market. But the graph here we are seeing is saying that oil was even doing better. We were doing more transactions than what we did in 2017 when there was no problem, no crisis. If you look at the graph in 2020, you will see 1684. And you look at 2017, you see 1381. And that is about details of NNPC importation of DMS. Does it mean that we consume more when we are not moving around, when there was restricted movement in the country? People were not moving around, activities were slowed down, offices were shut down. How come that our consumption rate went up? So these are the things that we would like to corroborate with the information from custom, yourself, NNPC, to see whether this graph was right or there was an error. So you have to look at that, because within 2019-2020, COVID changed the dynamics, and it's supposed to be reflected in this year graph. If you also go to the total volume of imported, you will see it on page 2, restricted, and you will see 2019 is up there, 2020 is up there. What were the reasons that informed this? I know NNPC also will answer us with regards to that. Then you go to records of vessel used to export crude oil out of Nigeria. You see the highest point, second to the highest being in 2019, when we were saying we were not selling much, we were not exporting much, the price was low. You can see we are doing 270 million, while in 2018 we were doing 91 million. What was the reason behind that? And then you go to 2020, we are doing 471 million. And then when you go that to 2017, it is 140 million. So try and highlight that when we discuss, and if you go to the next one, the same thing on the schedule of movement of crude oil. The highest was in 2020, second to the highest was 2019. And these were the period we were told by the relevant agencies that nothing was happening in the sector because of COVID, the price was low, we are not selling much and all that. So the committee would like to know why we imported much using oil subsidy fund. Thank you.
The Nigerian Navy does not have responsibility to auction any vessel or any seized product whatsoever. That responsibility is determined by the courts and the Attorney General of the Federation. But with respect to the discrepancy between 2019 and 2020, I will allow the Director of Marine Services to just say a few words on that.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Chairman. Regarding that, although there was observation, what we will do, we'll go back just as you've directed to go and still recheck the record so that when next we come back, we'll give a very clear, succinct reason why that hike in the movement of products while COVID-19 was on. Thank you, sir.
The Nigerian Navy, thank you for the appearance. I'm sure from the interaction so far, once I've understood that there's need for you to go and do a careful homework, put your record straight. Going by your submissions here, I think, anyway, I asked you a question. You have already adopted this as your submission. Do you want to continue with this as your submission before this honorable committee?
We will check the records again and update the submission.
So you want to withdraw this submission and then you make this submission to this committee?
If permitted, sir.
Honorable colleagues, the Nigerian Navy want to withdraw the submission before this honorable house because they have identified the need for them to go and put their records straight. So what is your opinion? Or do we hold this as an exhibit?
Mr. Chairman, I don't. They were tendered under oath, and they were admissible because they were tendered under oath, and it has credibility because it was backed by oath. All they need to do is to give us a justification behind the document they have tendered to us. Although, if the chairman feels that we should pamper justice with mercy, there might have been an error has been noticed. And since we are investigating for the progress of this nation, not to punish anybody, if they accept that they made an error, it should be given to them to go and correct. But let it be on record that there was something that was given to us and that we have cited it. And if there is any adjustment that is so critical to what has been provided, we will ask questions whether the first document was laid to deceive the House or to inform the House. Mr. Chairman, that is how I want to react to this. But the decision lies with your gavel. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable. Yeah. You know, I don't want to give you the floor because.
No, I have nothing to say. What Honorable Kano said is it's okay.
Thank you. Honorable Mark.
Thank you very much. Maybe, you know, the representatives of the Navy here should indicate the reasons, or they will just make an additional submission to what they have already provided to us. You know, so otherwise, let it also be on record, like my colleague said. If they say there's certain reason, let us note it on record. Then we can grant them by the leave and leave of the committee to withdraw this document. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
To make additional submissions.
Honorable Secretary, you are recognized.
Thank you for the opportunity. First and foremost, I think they have made a submission which we alluded to the fact that, okay, we made some observations that social informations are incomplete and there's a need for them to fill in those gaps. Arising from that and realizing that they too now realize that, yes, the information they've so provided, there are gaps that they need to fill. Ordinarily, I think they are at liberty to say they want to withdraw such documents to enable them go and make adequate submission. And still, based on that submission, whatever submissions they will present before the committees are at liberty to also look at it again and see whether there are still gaps. And so, as far as I'm concerned, I think saying they want to withdraw the documents and represent, I don't think, I totally agree that they can, withdraw and submit.
Right of response, Mr. Chairman. Right of response to the honorable colleague. Mr. Chairman, it lies on oath. You can't just withdraw it, except the judge gives you his mercy. And you are sitting there today as the arbiter. And I can say, having sworn to that oath, it is at your discretion to say, I want you to take it back. But why are we doing their case when the gentleman there has already said what we can do in line with what was proposed by Honorable Bula is that we submit an additional document. And if they have agreed to submit an additional document that will clarify us the more, why do we want to give them withdrawal when they say we want to add? That's my right of refusal, Mr. Chairman. Again, it lies with you.
Thank you so very much. This committee adopt documents submitted by the Nigerian Navy dated 25th July 2022 as the main submission made to this honorable committee. This committee likewise also direct the Nigerian Navy to make additional information available to the committee on issues raised, particularly on some very important issues that require clarification from the Nigerian Navy. Importantly, the separate information or report or document that shows the Nigerian Navy's vigilance or records on all vessels that pass in the Nigerian territorial water. That this honorable committee is going to write to the Nigerian Navy formally to inform the Nigerian Navy about the new mandate of the committee that extends to 2013 and covers up to the year 2022. So all information that are coming through the Nigerian Navy that has to do with clarifications or additional information that are to be made available to this committee should cover the period under review as amended. Honorable colleagues, if we have any issue outside this that we want to engage Nigerian Navy, but we should be we should be reminded that the investigation, the hearing is in two sections. Today's engagement is merely a preliminary one, and that this committee will engage the Nigerian Navy more properly in due course. Additional information that we may require as we progress will also be communicated to you so that you can update your submission before this honorable committee. Honorable members, is there any question, observation, or issue?
No. For me, Mr. Chairman,
thank you very much, Honorable Dano. Before we send the formal correspondence to you on the new mandate, I just want to give you the highlights of my expectations in the report. Comprehensive details of vessels imported, particularly those that import PMS and export crude conveyance from mother vessels to the daughter vessels, indicating name of vessel owner, importer, and any vital information. Note this the usual way of reporting. Details of vessels arrested and any other information that we need to know about the quantity and referral maybe to any of the prosecuting agencies since you don't prosecute. And then any other information you know of the supplies made to NNPC, PPMC, and any other supplier within the period under review. These are some of the information that we require to know from you from 2013 to date as we update your submissions to this honorable committee. Honorable members, as we progress while taking on the Nigerian Navy, we received a letter from them dated today, and I want to read the letter as a formality because we already ruled that we are taking them. But as the practice demand, I will read the letter. It says that this is the chairman that I have the honor to convey compliment of the Chief of Naval Staff to the Honorable Chairman ad hoc committee to investigate the petroleum product subsidy regime in Nigeria from 2017 to 2021 and to acknowledge receipt of your letter reference dated 18 July 2022 to attend the above mentioned hearing scheduled to hold on Thursday 28th of July 2022. I regret to inform that owing to National Security Council meeting with Mr. President, the Chief of Naval Staff is unable to attend the hearing in person. Accordingly, I am directed to inform you that a team led by Rear Admiral E.I. Ogada, Director Lesson Land at the Naval Headquarters, will represent the Chief of Naval Staff. While wishing you a successful hearing, please, Honorable Chairman, accept the assurance of the Chief of Naval Staff, highest consideration and regards. The letter was signed by K.O. Oguntuga, Commando for the Chief of Naval Staff. Honorable colleague, formally, the Nigerian Navy have submitted or transmitted a letter to the Honorable Committee forwarding the real Admiral here to represent the Chief of Naval Staff. That we have already resolved and they are well taken. In the absence of any further observation, objection to the presentation made by the Nigerian Navy, or any additional information from honorable colleagues, I think this honorable committee can discharge the Nigerian Navy for now. So Nigerian Navy, thank you so very much for your appearance and submissions, and we hope to see you more, receive the documents as when do we expect this document, because this committee is time bound and everything revolves around timing the committee will get to work with it. So let me know when we are.
Thank you, sir. Mr. It's your letter that will tell us exactly when to submit the additional details. Even in the next 5 days, we are ready. Okay, we request for 2 weeks. Okay, 1 week.
So we expect by Thursday or Wednesday next week. When is Wednesday next week? Third. So we expect to have the addendum submission on the earlier submission made by the Nigerian Navy on Wednesday, 3rd of August 2022. Information, observation on this? Okay, well, you can go ahead and make your observation before the very good.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Vincent Ekene Ofmelo, Esquire, honorable member representing the marginalized people of Oyi, and I am in Federal Constituency from Anambra State. A little observation from the documents and my own advice, because in 2 weeks' time, from what I heard from the chairman, you are submitting another document. Please, well, next we are submitting a document of this nation, try to make sure that the pages are being signed to authenticate the document. A document not signed goes to no issue. The document before this house has not been signed, and it is a very good observation, so I want to advise you the next time you are submitting, make sure you sign the pages. Thank you very much. I remember Vincent Ofuno. Thank you, honorable colleagues and chairman.
Thank you so very much, Honorable Aliyu, for the very, very important observation. All documents, each page should be well endorsed by the officer mandated to release documents to the Honorable Committee. Please take note of this very important observation from Honorable colleague. Now, was there any further observation? So in the absence of further observations, comments, objections to the submissions made, so far, Nigerian Navy, we are hereby discharged and now appointed. Thank you for attendance.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Seen anything?
Don't worry,
Colleagues, thank you so very much for, honorable colleagues, thank you so very much for sparing time to be here. This is the second day this week that we engage stakeholders for this very important assignment. Today, we engaged the Nigerian Navy, and I'm sure the engagement went on very well. Fundamental issues were raised, and we are required to make additional submission to the committee. Deep oil is supposed to appear today with the Nigerian Navy, but unfortunately we understand information dispatched to them to make appearance today did not reach them in good time. So I want to take this opportunity to inform my colleagues and Nigerians that Deep Oil will be here. We'll wait for their response and we'll fix the date for their appearance. They are very important to this investigation, and they will appear. The NNPC will still await their response. When they indicate appearance also, it will be made known to Nigerians so that we can hear their own side of the whole issue. Just yesterday, the vote on the proceedings of last Tuesday's plenary was adopted, extending the mandate of this committee to cover the period of 2013 to 2022. Based on this, there's need for this committee to reach out to all those that matters, importantly the stakeholders in the oil and gas industry, to make presentation before this honorable committee. So in that respect, this committee will suspend further investigative hearing by the time the date will be fixed, and it will be communicated to all Nigerians when we will resume and continue this very important national assignment. Thank you so very much. I want to reiterate the need for the media to take this assignment very serious and discharge their responsibility as required. by law and by our beloved fatherland. I would like to go through the document submitted to this Honorable Committee by Corporate Affairs Commission, which is to our dismay, forwarding information about some companies that they clearly indicate that they don't have their records in their database. The companies are as follows. I'll read them once again. Yesterday I read this letter. I'd like to read it again so that we capture it and let these companies know that the Corporate Affairs Commission don't have their records. So their legal status as far as doing any business in this country is doubtful. And they need to make appearance with the complete profile of their company before this committee. Kindly refer to a letter dated with reference number this on 1st July 2022 on the subject matter above. Let's be informed that we could not readily find information on the exact name of the following companies as provided in our record. Emadeb Consortium, Britannia U Nigeria Limited, Tulsa Total Oil Trading SA, Petroleum Trading Nigeria Limited, Mocha SA, Soka Worldwide, Carlson Bermuda Limited, Hyson, Litasco SA, Mercuria Energy, Sefta Lubricant, Trafigura, Virtual SA, Okambed Trading Limited, Bono Energy, West Africa Gas Limited, Petrogas, Matrix, Masters Energy, AMG, Barbados, Hindustan, and Petamina. These 23 companies, the corporation submitted that they don't have their information to their data bank. We resolved yesterday that these companies should make presentation before this committee and provide their profile. NNPC should also provide their profile to this committee so that we can justify, or they can justify their engagement with them. At this juncture, honorable colleagues, I thank you so very much, and we will now call for this meeting to be adjourned. If there's any person that wants to have an additional information or something he feels he should add. No. This. All right. So thank you so very much. Somebody should move for the adjournment of this meeting Senedai.
I, Vincent Ekene Ofumelo, member representing OE and IMN Federal Constituency, and from Anambra State, I hereby move that this House should adjourn Senedai. I so move.
Well, Thomas. So those for the motion to say ayes.
Aye.
Those against. Ayes have it. So this investigative hearing is hereby adjourned.